For example, if we move from very high energy source to the low energy source, if we use the gamma ray, okay, as a source material, then we would be essentially dealing with the Mossberg spectroscopy. So you may be aware of it or you may not. We'll see whether we can cover it a little bit at the later part. And you see that wavelength range over here. Then you can use the lower energy containing radiation, and then that is X-ray spectroscopy. Okay, that will give you different kind of information. Gamma would mostly give you the nuclear level understanding. X-ray would be slightly different. Then we could move into our electronic spectroscopy, which covers visible to ultraviolet, this region. And in addition to that, it can also cover in between one region, which is called near infrared region, which is very important, near infrared region, to understand certain things. Okay, so that means we have Mossberg spectroscopy, we have X-ray spectroscopy, we have electronic spectroscopy, including near infrared spectroscopy. Also, we have infrared zone. That would give you the vibrational level spectroscopic aspects, which is a completely different spectroscopic technique. Then we will have the microwave region spectroscopic technique, which is your EPR. EPR is essentially the low energy spectroscopy, where the microwave frequency is used to promote the electrons from the ground level to the excited state level. Okay, and then the further lower energy limit, we call it radio frequency region, which is the NMR region, as you know. So any spectroscopic technique, eventual item is same. That is, you have to have the electronic or nuclear level energy gap. That gap should be ground to first excited state or subsequent excited state, which we would not consider right now. Ground to first excited state. And what is the energy difference? That we call delta E. So that amount of energy, if we pump into the system, and then it will move from ground to that level. Okay, and then the amount of energy would be absorbed. That could be recorded properly, and based on that, we have the absorption spectroscopic technique like EPR, like NMR, like UV visible. These are all absorption spectroscopic technique. We can also have the emission spectroscopic technique, the opposite one. After excitation, how the energy is being emitted, that could also be recorded. So what I'm trying to mean, I try to mean that just based on the energy content or the frequency of the incident light, we can have so many spectroscopic techniques, and you will see later on that each technique has its own advantages, disadvantages, and each technique would provide you one particular aspect. You cannot expect that this NMR would give you all the information what you could otherwise get through the other spectroscopy. You know, there is no way to do so. So you have to use so many spectroscopic techniques depending on the nature of your molecule and also what you would like to understand. That is very important. If you would like to understand a small amount of certain things, then you go for that only. But if you want to have the very holistic picture of the molecule, then you need to look into all the aspects together. Okay, one simple example about the spectroscopic technique I'm telling you, you must understand this thing, that when you get the electronic spectroscopic technique, you will have, say, E1, E2, okay, and that is your visible to UV range. But that means that infrared level, which are essentially between the two E level, two electronic levels. So when you allow this much of energy, that means UV or visible region, it would cover both the vibrational levels and the electronic level, because vibrational levels are much smaller compared to electronic, and which are buried inside the electronic level. And that is why always you will get electronic spectrum little bit broader rather than the one line spectrum. Yeah, because it contains the vibrational component. But on the other hand, if you go for infrared spectrum, you'll always see sharp peak, because you are now dealing with the smaller energy gap, In between, you have the rotational level of energy bands. So you have to understand all these things together. But in a microwave region, this is a safe region. Safe region in the sense where you do not have any interference from the electronic level. You have only the item you need to consider only the spin setup. Okay, we'll discuss all these things later on. Now, this is a very broader picture as far as the ESR is concerned. Now, you know that EPR, it has two different terms. You can use whatever you want. It varies from book to book, from person to person. Electron paramagnetic resonance or electron spin resonance. So one can, both are same. The spin gives you paramagnetism, and paramagnetism originates to the unpaired spin. So both are the same thing, but terminology wise they are different. Okay, so it's your choice. Now this EPR or ESR, it tells us that to have the active situation as far as the EPR is concerned, you need to have at least one unpaired electron. Unlike NMR essentially deals with the diamagnetic molecules. That means all the electrons are paired up. Okay, but that does not necessarily mean that for paramagnetic molecule, NMR won't be effective. Yes, NMR would be effective, but that's much complex situation. Okay, which gives us the contact shift effect, paramagnetic contact shift effect, and which makes the NMR much more complicated than the usual way we look at NMR. Okay, and that contact shift, that impact, which could be understandable, but it requires the special expertise. Okay, otherwise you can. For example, those who are dealing with the metal complexes, quite often we come across this contact shift effect because many metal complexes are paramagnetic. But for their these paramagnetic molecules, you can also record NMR, and there we need to deal with the factors called contact shift effect, and that can be understandable. Organic molecule also. Organic molecules, you have the radicals, and radicals could be monoradicals, could be biradical, etc., etc., and that could be studied by EPR, and parallelly you can study by NMR also. But those NMR would be much more complex in nature compared to the normal NMR, which deals with the diamagnetic feature of the molecule. Okay. Now you need to have one unpaired electron, either at the organic sector, which we call free radicals, or you can have a metal complex where your unpaired electron would be on the metal side. Okay, could be one, could be more. We'll talk about that in due course. So essentially what we are talking about, you will have a non-closed system. That means open cell system. So open cell system means S not equal to 0. So you have to use S not equal to 0 setup. That is the primary condition. If you have S